They come to me seeking answers about power, these men who mistake noise for strength, who confuse movement with progress, who believe that the loudest voice in the room belongs to the most powerful person. But they are wrong. They are so very wrong. Sit down. Listen carefully. What I am about to tell you will either change your understanding of power completely, or it will be forgotten the moment you leave this room. The choice is yours. Power is not what most people think it is. It is not the expensive suit, though a well-dressed man commands more respect than a poorly dressed one. It is not the big office, though an impressive environment can influence perception. It is not the title on your business card, though titles can open doors. These are merely the accessories of power, not power itself. True power is an internal state that manifests itself in external realities. It begins in the deepest, quietest corners of a man's character and grows outward like roots of a great tree. The stronger the roots, the taller the tree can grow. The deeper the foundation, the higher the structure can reach. Most men chase the symbols of power instead of developing the substance of power. They accumulate possessions, pursue titles, gather followers, thinking these things will make them powerful. But these are costumes, not the man wearing them. A costume can be removed. A title can be taken away. Possessions can be lost. Followers can abandon you, but if you possess true power, the kind that comes from within, the kind that is built on character and competence and consistency, you can lose everything external and rebuild it all again. Because the source of your power travels with you wherever you go. It cannot be stolen. It cannot be destroyed by others. It can only be diminished by your own choices. This internal power reveals itself in subtle ways that most people miss but everyone feels. It shows in the way you carry yourself when you walk into a room. In the quality of attention you give when others speak to you. In your ability to remain calm when others panic, to think clearly when others are confused, to act decisively when others hesitate. People sense this inner strength long before they understand what they are sensing. They are drawn to it because most people live in internal chaos, uncertainty about their worth, confusion about their direction, anxiety about their future. When they encounter someone who has found peace with himself, who knows his own value, who operates from a place of genuine confidence rather than desperate bravado, they want to be near that stability. This brings me to the most crucial skill in the development of power, the ability to understand human nature at its deepest levels. Every person you encounter is driven by a combination of fundamental needs and fears. Security and uncertainty. Recognition and invisibility. Control and helplessness. Connection and isolation. Meaning and meaninglessness. Growth and stagnation. That if you can identify which of these drives is strongest in someone, you can predict their behavior with remarkable accuracy. The person driven primarily by security will always choose the safer option, even if it offers less potential reward. The individual motivated by recognition will work harder for public acknowledgement than for private compensation. The one seeking control will resist situations where they feel powerless, even when cooperation would serve their interests better. Understanding these patterns allows you to frame your communications, requests, and offers in ways that align with what people truly want. You are not manipulating them, you are speaking their language. You are presenting your ideas in terms they can relate to, in ways that connect with their deepest motivations, but this understanding of human nature extends far beyond individual psychology. It encompasses social dynamics, cultural patterns, historical cycles. Human beings are not as unique as they believe themselves to be. The same fundamental conflicts, the same basic mistakes, the same predictable patterns repeat themselves generation after generation, culture after culture, organization after organization. The ambitious subordinate who believes he can overthrow his leader through secret alliances. This story is as old as civilization itself. The wealthy person who loses everything because they cannot control their appetites. This tragedy plays out in every era. The leader who falls because they become isolated from their followers. This pattern repeats in businesses, governments, and families around the world. When you understand these recurring patterns, you develop the ability to see situations developing long before others recognize them. You can anticipate how people will behave under pressure, how organizations will respond to challenges, how markets will react to changes. This foresight is perhaps the most valuable form of power because it allows you to position yourself advantageously while others are still trying to understand what is happening. This knowledge, this deep understanding of human nature and historical patterns, becomes your true currency. Not money, though money certainly helps. Not violence, though sometimes force becomes necessary. Not position, though position has its advantages. The real currency is knowing what people want before they know it themselves, understanding what they fear before they admit it to themselves, predicting what they will do before they decide to do it. But knowledge without wisdom is dangerous. And wisdom without patience is useless. This brings me to perhaps the most difficult lesson of all, the supreme discipline of strategic patience that in our world of instant gratification and immediate results, patience has become a lost art. Everyone wants everything now. Quick solutions. Fast results. Instant success. But power, real power, takes time to build properly. It takes time to understand situations completely. It takes time to position yourself correctly. It takes time to let your opponents make their inevitable mistakes. Your enemies and competitors are impatient. They are emotional. They are driven by pride, by anger, by greed, by fear. They want immediate vindication, quick victories, instant gratification. This impatience makes them predictable. This urgency makes them careless. This need for immediate results makes them vulnerable. You must be different. You must be like water wearing away stone, persistent, patient, inevitable. You must be willing to wait for the perfect moment rather than settling for the merely adequate moment. You must resist the temptation to act prematurely, even when delay is frustrating, even when others question your resolve. The patient person sees opportunities that the impatient person misses. The patient person makes better decisions because they act from complete information rather than partial understanding. The patient person achieves better outcomes because they wait for favorable conditions rather than forcing action in unfavorable circumstances, but patience without preparation is mere procrastination. True strategic patience involves using the waiting time productively, gathering information, building resources, strengthening relationships, improving capabilities. When the right moment finally arrives, you are ready to act with overwhelming force and precision. This patience extends to every aspect of power development, building relationships, gathering intelligence, making investments, planning operations, resolving conflicts. The person who acts too quickly acts from incomplete information. The person who moves too fast creates unnecessary opposition. The person who wants results too urgently accepts inferior outcomes, but when you have waited, when you have prepared, when you understand all the variables and all the players involved, when that perfect moment finally presents itself, then you act with absolute decisiveness and total commitment. Not a moment too soon, not a moment too late, but at exactly the right instant when success is most certain and consequences are most favorable to your interests. This kind of strategic thinking applies especially to the most delicate aspect of power, building genuine loyalty rather than mere compliance. Loyalty cannot be purchased. Oh, you can rent someone's services, you can buy their compliance, you can threaten them into obedience. But these are transactions, not loyalty. And transactions end when the terms change or when someone offers better terms. True loyalty is earned through consistency, reliability, and mutual benefit. It is built by protecting people when they are vulnerable, by keeping your promises even when it becomes difficult, by sharing both risks and rewards fairly, by demonstrating that their success and your success are genuinely connected. The people who truly support you, not just those who work for you or serve you, but those who are genuinely loyal to you, these people will go beyond what is required. They will take initiative to solve problems before you become aware of them. They will look for ways to exceed your expectations. They will defend your interests even when you are not present to protect them yourself. This kind of commitment cannot be commanded or coerced. It must be inspired through your own character and actions. People become loyal to those they respect, to those they trust, to those whose success benefits them and whose failure would harm them. Building this loyalty requires you to be worthy of it. You must be someone whose word has weight, whose judgment can be trusted, whose success creates opportunities for others. You must demonstrate through your actions that you value the people who support you, that you will not sacrifice them for temporary advantage, that you will stand by them when they need you. This brings us to the critical importance of reputation, which is perhaps your most valuable and most vulnerable asset. Your reputation is not just what people say about you when you're present. It is what they believe about you when you are absent. It is the stories that circulate about your character, your capabilities, your principles. It is the expectation that precedes you into every room you enter. A strong reputation works for you even when you are not working. It influences decisions in meetings you never attend. It shapes negotiations you never participate in directly. It creates opportunities you never pursue actively. It solves problems you never address personally. But reputation is also fragile and difficult to control because it exists in other people's minds rather than in your direct possession. Every promise you make, every commitment you give, every threat you issue becomes a test of your credibility. Every time your actions align with your words, your reputation grows stronger. Every time they don't align, your reputation grows weaker. This is why you must be extremely careful about what you commit to. Never promise something you are not certain you can deliver. Never threaten something you are not prepared to do. Never guarantee something you cannot control. Your word must be more reliable than any contract, more valuable than any currency, more binding than any legal document. And when you do give your word, you must keep it regardless of how circumstances change, regardless of how difficult fulfillment becomes, regardless of what it costs you personally. Because if you break your word once, people will remember. And they will wonder, if he broke his commitment then, when might he break it again? The person whose word cannot be trusted has no real power, because power ultimately depends on the ability to make credible commitments. If people don't believe your promises, they won't rely on your support. If people don't believe your threats, they won't respect your boundaries. If people don't trust your judgment, they won't follow your leadership. But the person whose word is absolutely reliable becomes powerful in ways that extend far beyond their immediate capabilities. People will make agreements based on handshakes. They will invest in ventures he recommends. They will avoid conflicts he warns against. They will seek his counsel on important decisions because they know he will tell them the truth, even when the truth is not what they want to hear. This reliability, this perfect consistency between words and actions, creates a kind of power that multiplies itself over time. Because reliable people attract other reliable people. Trustworthy individuals want to associate with other trustworthy individuals. Quality recognizes quality, and excellence gravitates toward excellence. Eventually, if you are patient and consistent, you will find yourself surrounded by the best people, involved in the most promising opportunities, consulted on the most important decisions. Not because you demanded these things, not because you took them by force, but because you earned them through demonstrating your worth consistently over time. But with this power comes a burden that few people understand or anticipate, the weight of responsibility and the isolation of leadership. When you reach a certain level of power, when people depend on you for their security, their prosperity, their future, the decisions become yours alone. The consequences become yours alone. You cannot share the burden of difficult choices. You cannot seek comfort from those who look to you for strength. You must be the source of stability that others draw from, which means you cannot appear unstable yourself. You must be the voice of confidence that others listen to, which means you cannot express your own doubts and fears. You must make the difficult decisions that others cannot or will not make, which means you must be prepared to bear the consequences in isolation. This loneliness is the price of leadership. It is the cost of being the person others look to for direction, for answers, for solutions. The higher you rise in power and responsibility, the fewer people there are who can truly understand the pressures you face, the complexity of the decisions you must make, the weight of the consequences that flow from your choices. People will approach you constantly, seeking favors, offering deals, requesting decisions, demanding answers. But they see only their own narrow interests, their own immediate concerns. They cannot see the broader picture that you must consider, the multiple constituencies you must balance, the long-term consequences you must weigh against short-term benefits, and you cannot explain all of this to them. You cannot share your complete reasoning. You cannot reveal all the factors that influence your decisions. Because doing so would undermine their confidence in your leadership, would expose sensitive information that could be used against you, would reveal weaknesses that your enemies could exploit. So you must decide alone. You must carry the weight alone. You must accept responsibility alone. This is the price of power, and it is a price that must be paid daily, continuously, without relief or respite. But this isolation, this burden, this responsibility, it also creates the opportunity to make a real difference in the world. To build something that matters. To create value that extends beyond your own existence. To leave behind a legacy that improves the lives of others long after you are gone, and in the end, that is what separates true power from mere authority, real leadership from simple domination, lasting influence from temporary control. True power serves purposes larger than the person who wields it. Real leadership creates value for others, not just for the leader. Lasting influence builds something that continues to benefit people long after the individual is no longer present to direct it personally. This is the choice that every person who acquires power must make. Will you use that power primarily to serve yourself, Or will you use it to serve something greater than yourself? Will you focus on what you can extract from your position, or on what you can contribute through your position? Will you build an empire of fear that crumbles when you are gone, or will you create a legacy of value that continues long after your departure? The answer to that question will determine not just what you accomplish with your power, but who you become as a person. And who you become is ultimately more important than what you achieve, because character is the only thing that truly belongs to you, the only thing that cannot be taken away by others, the only thing that determines your real worth as a human being. Choose wisely, my friend. Because that choice will echo through every decision you make, every relationship you build, every legacy you leave behind. Power is a tool. The question is, what will you build with it? But remember this above all else, power is not a game to be won or lost. It is not a trophy to be displayed. It is not a weapon to be wielded carelessly. Power is a responsibility that demands your very best qualities, your wisdom, your patience, your integrity, your compassion. The moment you begin to use power primarily for your own gratification, you begin to lose it. The moment you start to believe that power makes you better than others, you become unworthy of it. The moment you forget that power exists to serve purposes larger than yourself, you transform from a leader into a tyrant, and tyranny, as history has shown us again and again, is ultimately self-defeating. It creates its own opposition. It breeds its own destruction. It carries within itself the seeds of its own downfall. True power endures because it serves enduring values. It lasts because it creates lasting value. It survives because it makes the world better for everyone, not just for the person who wields it. Let me share with you one final insight about the nature of power. The most dangerous moment in any powerful person's life is not when they are struggling to acquire power, not when they are fighting to maintain it, but when they first achieve it. Because that moment of triumph contains within it the greatest temptation and the greatest risk. The temptation is to believe that reaching a position of power means you have learned everything you need to know about wielding it. The risk is that success will make you overconfident, that achievement will make you careless, that victory will make you forget the very qualities that brought you to that position in the first place. That I have watched many promising leaders destroy themselves in this moment of transition. They change. They become different people. The humility that made them attractive disappears. The listening skills that helped them understand others atrophy from disuse. The discipline that enabled their rise relaxes into complacency. This transformation is not inevitable, but it is common. The antidote is remembering that power is not an end state but a beginning. It is not a reward for past performance but a responsibility for future performance. The moment you achieve a position of power is the moment when your real work begins. That work involves using your new capabilities not to satisfy your own appetites, but to justify the trust that others have placed in you. It means proving through your actions that their faith in you was well-founded. It means demonstrating that the power they have given you serves purposes larger than your personal gratification. This requires a fundamental shift in perspective from taking to giving, from extracting to contributing. Instead of asking, "What can this position do for me?" you must ask, "What can I do with this position?" Instead of focusing on the privileges of power, you must focus on the responsibilities that come with it. Power that serves only the powerful is inherently unstable because it creates no reason for others to support it beyond fear or obligation. But power that serves others creates its own foundation of support. People who benefit from your leadership will work to maintain your position because your success serves their interests as well. the most secure power is power that creates mutual benefit rather than zero-sum competition. It expands opportunities rather than just redistributing them. It builds systems where everyone can prosper rather than hierarchies where only a few can succeed. This is the choice before you. Will you seek the kind of power that builds or the kind that destroys? Will you develop the kind of influence that elevates others or the kind that diminishes them? Will you create a legacy of wisdom and service, or a memory of selfishness and destruction? The answer to these questions will determine not just your success, but your significance. Not just what you achieve, but who you become. Not just how you are remembered, but whether you deserve to be remembered at all. Choose wisely. The world is watching. History is waiting. And your character is being revealed with every decision you make.